Welcome back to another installment of some people's favorite segment of the Yankees Files podcast. That is Dad Take or Bad Take, this time featuring, once again, probably, I think I can say this, kind of the preeminent Dad Take or Bad Take guest, my father, Mitch Harris.
Hello, Will. Hello, Yankees Files podcast listeners and watchers.
That's right. Good job. So a lot of people were very excited when I announced that you would be returning to the podcast.
I can only imagine.
Those people,
Two
more
Robs,
often
probably.
than not, are named Rob. But I know, look, there's a lot to get into about the New York Yankees. I know you have a lot of thoughts that you have been texting me angrily. One thing, I don't know if you want me to air this out on the podcast, but I think it's important for our listeners to know this. How long has it been that you've only been able to watch nationally televised games prior to a couple days ago? How long was that? Just so our listeners know which games you saw or didn't see.
I don't know. There are some games I missed.
Yeah. Okay. I feel like it was reasonable that they be made aware.
Yeah,
of
I
that.
mean, it doesn't. Let's just be clear, though. It doesn't mean I wasn't following the results.
No, it doesn't.
And it doesn't mean that I wasn't listening to every episode of the Yankees Files podcast.
It doesn't mean those things. That's right. So let's just set a baseline. The Yankees are just getting started in the Sunday game against the White Sox as we record this. They have won 7 games in a row. They lead baseball in pretty much all the hitting stats. They lead the American League in run differential. They're 2.5 games, I believe, off of the best record in the American League. They are 2 games out of the division. They are, I think, 15-5 in their last 20. So we come to this discussion under those circumstances.
Yeah, and
I know there's a lot that you want to talk about. So where would you like to begin?
Well, as is my habit, Will, I would like to make an opening statement.
And has anyone sponsored this opening statement?
I don't have a sponsor.
Okay.
I don't have a sponsor today.
Do you think you drove the advertisers away with some of your prior comments?
No, I think my appeal has become more selective.
Got it.
So I would like to begin with my opening statement, please. As avid listeners and watchers of the Yankees Files podcast will know, there have been times that I've been critical of the New York Yankees baseball club. Not today. We are coming off as we sit here, 7 wins in a row. Woo! And let me tell you something about 7 wins in a row. The Yankees dominated in those 7 wins, most recently against the Chicago White Sox. And I got to tell you something. The Chicago White Sox do not want to see the New York Yankees in the playoffs this year. And they can call the Holy Father. He can talk to God, but they do not want to catch up to the Yankees in the playoffs because the Yankees will kill them. And I want to point out the team that the Yankees destroyed right before the White Sox, the Washington Nationals, who are in the National League. They do not want to run into the Yankees in the World Series. The Yankees will wipe the floor with them. So this is 7 wins, 6 of them against the White Sox and the Nationals. Yeah, let's go. I'm sorry. What are you doing? What are you doing?
Oh, you're done?
If there's one thing the Yankees Files podcast loves, it's enthusiasm about the Yankees. And that's just a really tired talking point. So I was exhausted listening to it. That they won 7 games. I'm not tired of that at all.
Yeah.
I'll take that all day, every day.
I don't want you to come on here and insult the intelligence of the Yankees Files listeners and watchers. And I feel like that's what you've come here and done.
Well, they're on a 7-game winning streak. They killed. Now, look, they did lose 3 out of 4 to the Red Sox, but they won the last game against the Red Sox.
And how? So
hang on, I'm not done.
No, I have a question. I have a question.
I'm not done.
Whose podcast is this? I have a question for you. Those 3 games that they lost to the Red Sox.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about out of 162.
Yep.
How many did each of those count for?
Look, we can get into this whole thing that no game matters, and we're going to talk about it. But the idea...
No, every game matters.
The idea...
The exact same amount.
The idea that we're like over the moon. As a matter of fact, I want to give my confidence in the Yankees.
That's not 15. This is not the time.
15.
What does 15 mean?
It's 15 out of 10 because they killed the White Sox and the Nationals.
Did you think this was like a really good bit for you to come on here?
I told Mom that I was really. Don't tell Will that I'm going to do this. I mean, the fact that they have won 6 games in a row against teams who have combined to lose more games than any one team plays in an entire season I think the Nationals have 88 losses. Do they have 88 losses?
I don't know how many losses.
Yeah, I think they have 88 losses, and I think the White Sox have 82. They're beating... There's only one team.
Okay, so
hang on. Let me finish.
No, this is a lose-lose situation.
Let me finish.
This is a ridiculous talking point.
Oh my goodness! I'm sorry, watchers and listeners of the Yankees Files podcast.
This is a ridiculous talking point because it's a lose-lose situation. If the Yankees lost to these teams, you'd be saying, "How can the Yankees expect to be taken seriously when they lose even one game to the White Sox or the Nationals? These teams are so terrible." And then you minimize it when they beat these teams. So here's the thing. This is very common of people who view the Yankees the way you do. I got texts along these lines from someone else, and he knows who he is.
Really?
This very morning.
Is his name Rob?
No.
Oh, okay. All right.
The way that a lot of people watch the Yankees, and you're one of them, is you exaggerate their failures and you minimize their success.
I'm exaggerating their success today. That's what I'm here
and you're
to
doing
do
it. You know what I like about that is you're doing it totally genuinely. There's no sarcasm here. There's no subtext. And I've always appreciated that about the way you speak about the Yankees and everything else is you always mean exactly what you say and say exactly what you mean.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I mean, look, 7-game winning streak. This is a team, in my opinion, that should have performed better throughout the course of the season. They're mopping up against literally 2 of the 3 worst teams in organized baseball at the major league level. And color me unimpressed. When they do this against a team that's even like 500, I'll be interested.
Okay. So these wins basically don't count to you.
They count to me, but what the Yankees have done this season is when they aren't losing to teams like the Marlins, who are bad, they have tended to win games against bad teams. They have not tended to win games against even middling teams.
I mean, they have
like the Red Sox.
They have the same record against 500 or better teams as the Red Sox do, for example. They have the best offense in the league against 500 or better teams. They just had about 2.5 months where they could not pitch. Like, that's the story of this team.
We can talk about that.
You can try to make it about underperformance against good teams. You can try to make it about Anthony Volpe. You can try to make it about Ryan McMahon. You can try to make it about whatever you want.
I'm not complaining about Ryan McMahon, by the way. You will not hear me.
Your father was complaining about Ryan McMahon.
Or see me complain about Ryan McMahon on this podcast.
Okay.
I may go on another podcast
and complain
about Ryan McMahon, but not
we
this
know
one.
You're making the rounds on the podcast circuit.
I'm very much in demand.
You're a desirable guest.
If there's like a podcast called Podcast for Guys Named Rob,
oh,
I would
they'd
kill
love
it on
you
that
on
podcast.
Yeah.
Yes.
You'd be like their number one.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, really, you can make the Yankee season about any of those things, and you'd be wrong. The story of the Yankee season is that for 2.5 months, they couldn't prevent runs. That's it. That's really it. And in that time, Devin Williams had an awful stretch. Luke Weaver was both ineffective and injured at different times. Mark Leiter was ineffective and injured at different times. Fernando Cruz was injured for almost all of it. Marcus Stroman was starting games for them. Guys who will never throw another pitch for the Yankees in their lives were pitching frequently for the Yankees in that stretch. And now they've really settled down the rotation. Max Fried is looking as effective as he looked early in the first half. He had an ERA over 4 from like Labor Day to a couple weeks ago. Carlos Rodon has had, he's been probably the steadiest guy. Will Warren has had some very effective stretches. Cam Schlittler has only given up 2 runs all month. And what a surprise. The Yankees are playing well. I don't know why we have to look for all these narratives and throats to choke and people to blame when really it's very clear. They gave up too many runs for 60 games, and now they're not giving up runs and they're scoring a ton of them like they always do.
Right. They're not giving up runs and scoring a ton against bad competition. I will feel more comfortable when they stop giving up runs and score a ton against good competition.
Well, that's because...
by the way, in the 3 games that they lost against the Red Sox, I think they were outscored 23-4 or something.
Well, yeah, because in one of those games, they lost 12-1 because they just left Paul Blackburn in to finish the game regardless of what happened, and he gave up 7 runs.
Wasn't he the guitarist for Deep Purple?
And now he's in a medieval type thing. Yeah.
By the way, that for the young
nobody
folks
gets
watching,
that.
Yeah, that's Richie Blackmore is still alive, but he was the guitar player for Deep Purple and for a band called Rainbow, a little band called Rainbow.
Rainbow was pretty good.
That at one point, did Ronnie James Dio? Ronnie James
Yeah,
Dio
was
was the
Rainbow.
lead singer of Rainbow at one point.
Yeah. May he rest in peace.
May he rest in peace. R.I.P. RJD. Anyway, so my point, Will, just so the listeners and the watchers of the Yankees Files podcast get it, my point is like to see this kind of performance against good teams, not just against bad teams.
Which is, of course, because your regular season record against a given team is uber predictive of your playoff record against,
Well, I will say this. I will say this.
Oh,
and this
shoot. No, that was going to be such a good point until it was just based on nothing.
But you're the one who made it. I didn't make it.
What are you implying about their performance? Why would their performance against good teams be relevant? Why were you talking about facing the Nationals or the White Sox in the playoffs? What's the point of all that? Why is it relevant at all? Unless it's about how you think they're going to do in the playoffs, what's the point?
The point is, they will be playing good teams in the playoffs. They will not be playing the Nationals and the White Sox in the playoffs.
Okay. So, therefore, it might be interesting to see, does a team's record against another team in the regular season have any predictive power for its record against them in the postseason? And you can consult various examples. It's no better than a coin flip to pick the team that had the better head-to-head record in a playoff series.
And this is something that I do want to talk about because it may just be my problem with baseball. It is your problem with baseball. This is actually good for us to get into. There's a lot of stuff in baseball that is no better than a coin flip.
Uh-huh.
And I think about the other sports that I watch. And in the other sports that I watch, randomness, and I'm going to leave golf aside for a moment, randomness is much less of a factor than skill. And in baseball, what I'm supposed to believe, it may be true, it just might make it a crappy sport. What I'm supposed to believe is that luck has a lot to do with it.
Well, there's some nuance there. Over a long enough time, you can identify the most skilled teams. The playoffs, as we've discussed, are not designed to do that. That's
right.
Part of the reason why they're exciting. Now, I think you could argue that some of the most entertaining things, some of the most entertaining playoff formats, namely March Madness, are also not designed to identify the best team.
Yeah, you know what? I'm not so sure about. I don't think I agree with that, and I don't agree with that for 2 reasons. One, it is true that in basketball, any team can just about beat any other team on any given day. March Madness requires you to win consistently over a decent stretch. And so in that respect, I think it may identify the best team, because that team has to go out and keep knocking them down, survive and advance, as they call it.
But if even if we think about a good team playing a great team, remember the Kentucky team that was undefeated going into the Final Four in like 2015 that Notre Dame played in the Elite Eight?
Did UConn beat that Kentucky team in the national championship?
No, UConn played that Kentucky team in the national championship the year earlier.
Oh, okay.
And then they came back and they were like 36-0 or something going into the Final Four, and they played Wisconsin. And Wisconsin was a good team. They had the National Player of the Year, Frank Kaminsky, and they beat 36-0 or whatever it was, Kentucky. My question is, how likely do you think that outcome was? If Wisconsin had a 30% chance of winning that game, they would assuredly almost lose any 7-game series to Kentucky. And that's why I think we see such little variance in, or so few upsets in the NBA, and we see it is prone to dynasties, whereas obviously there are other factors at work here, but the number 1 overall seed doesn't even have all that great a rate of making it to the Final Four in March Madness. And that's because it's not built to identify the best team. It identifies teams with good qualities, certainly, but winning 6 games in a row against 6 different teams is a lot different than beating the same team 4 times in a row in a lower variance sport.
No, that's true. But you know, your blue bloods do, your cream rises to the top in the NCAA tournament a lot. I would say in the last, 30 years, what team has the most national championships? Probably Duke. Would it be Duke?
No, it can't be Duke. It's probably North Carolina.
Is it North Carolina?
Maybe it's Kentucky.
Is it Kentucky? What about UCLA?
Or Indiana?
Michigan State with Tom Izzo.
Yeah, and Mateen Cleaves.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, maybe Maryland.
How about Florida?
It could be Florida.
Let's see.
Michigan. Illinois, maybe?
No.
Syracuse.
Did Illinois win a national championship ever?
I don't know. They were in one against like whoever. Syracuse, you think? Georgetown. It's got to be Georgetown. Or maybe the University of Virginia. People are going to love this bit. It's the University of Connecticut.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who has the second highest number of national championships of any school?
I don't
third.
think that's true.
Well, UCLA is kind of, you put it aside because it had that dynasty with Lou Alcindor, among other people.
But I think, doesn't Kentucky have like 8?
You put some of that aside too.
Exactly. Yeah. UConn certainly has the most since we have high definition television.
Yes, or even since we went to the 60-14.
Even since we went to 64 teams.
Yeah, anyway. So shout out UConn. Shout out Danny Hurley.
So anyway, we go on that tangent to say that the baseball playoffs, as they're a relatively short series for a high variance sport, aren't exactly built to identify the best team, and therefore looking at other small samples like regular season head-to-head records, not all that predictive.
So I don't want to, we've done this, the
Song
playoffs aren't the best way to identify the best team before.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to bore the listeners and watchers of the Yankees Files podcast because we've done it before. But we were talking about luck versus skill.
We were.
And my thesis was that the sports I like are less based on luck and more based on skill.
Okay.
And I don't know whether the Yankees Files podcast position is just look. You got to play the hand you're dealt. Baseball is just about luck.
I'd like to unpack what you mean by the sports you like are more based on luck and less based on skill. Does that mean...
I said the opposite, but go ahead.
Do you mean to say that you can take more away from any individual game in those sports, or that talent is more relevant to the outcome in those sports? Or like what? So football and basketball, I assume, are what you're talking about.
Well, college basketball.
Okay. And you're saying that those sports are more influenced by skill than baseball is. Well, and what is that? So like, what's the so what of that?
Well, what I'm saying is I'm not necessarily subscribing to the thesis that baseball is just, hey, look, luck, you got unlucky, whatever. Oh boy, they lost that game. That was pretty unlucky. Like, I like to think that there actually is skill involved and
Certainly
more skill than luck. But I think sometimes when I'm listening to the Yankees Files podcast, and this is what got us talking about this originally, is like I hear a lot about luck. Like I hear more about luck on the Yankees Files podcast than I do when I listen to my astrology and Las Vegas podcast.
So let's talk about some different types of luck that might influence a baseball season, and you can tell me where I am missing the skill in those areas.
Okay, I'm not sure about the question, but go ahead. I like a quiz sort of format.
This was inspired by something I tweeted in 2023 when a lot of things went wrong for the Yankees, some under their control, others not.
Bad luck.
And I encourage people to be thoughtful about where the Yankees had failed, where individual players had failed, and where factors out of their control were also at work and influencing things negatively. So the first one is batted ball luck. There are things that a player can do, like tend to hit the ball very hard, tend to hit it at optimal launch angles, tend to hit it in directions that produce good batted ball outcomes. Even still, an individual player's BABIP is pretty unstable year to year. For example, Derek Jeter was really good at hitting for a high batting average on balls in play. In 2002, he hit for a 336 batting average on balls in play, very high. In 2003, he hit for a 379 batting average on balls in play. So what someone who is looking for the influence of skill in that would say is, well, what did he change? Clearly, he must have changed something that led to him getting more hits on balls in play year over year. Well, you'll be happy to know his batted ball profile changed so much. His line drive rate changed by 1 whole percentage point. His ground ball rate changed by a whole 1/10 of a percentage point, and his fly ball rate changed by 0.9 percentage points. So, of course, he hit 43 points better on balls in play in 2003 than in 2002. What do you how do you respond to something like that? If it must be skill, how do we explain that?
Well, I'm not saying it must be skill.
Okay.
But I think good players have better outcomes, and I don't think good players are just luckier than
I've never said good
players
are just luckier.
Okay, well,
but if you look at an individual good player's career, you can see some extremely unstable things that are influenced, I would assert, by random chance.
Well, I mean, they might be influenced by random chance. There's probably some difference in Jeter's 43% that could be percentage points, not 43%, right?
43 points.
43 percentage
336
points.
to 379.
That's not 43%.
It's not.
That's 43 percentage points. He may have been played differently defensively. He may have had...
teams would get worse at positioning against him with more information.
Well, I don't know, but he may have been. I don't know.
Sure. So this answer is great because what it illustrates is the desire that people have to attribute, or not to attribute things to luck. We love to feel like we have control over outcomes. This is why we always say that the team lost a game and not that the team got beat. Sometimes the other team plays better, but it's always, no, if Boone had done this or if this player had done this. We love to feel like we have control over the outcomes where really there are other things at play.
By the way, what would you say, and we should have this discussion, but what would you say if I said to you, fire Boone or don't fire Boone?
I'd say
Boone.
Oh, you want to fire Boone? That's interesting because you're always talking about.
And you know what? I think
always talking about how the manager doesn't make a difference.
I think that Hal Steinbrenner should
Sell the team. Sell the team. Sell the team.
That's funny. Anyway, no, you're right. But what I'm saying is better players produce better outcomes. Is there some luck involved? Yes.
I would say that a player's season is basically his true talent level plus or minus the impact of random chance on his season.
Yeah. And so my question is, how much of it is the impact of random chance and how much of it is skill? Because if I listen to the Yankees Files podcast, as I do religiously, and by the way, shout out to Steve, shout out to Taylor from Nashville, shout out to Whipple, who's about to begin his career as a lawyer.
We hope, if he passed the bar.
Well, he's going to begin his career even if he didn't pass the bar because you don't get the bar results till like October. So he's going to start working whether they like it or not. But anyway, how much of it is luck? So like when we say, as I said, listen to the Yankees Files podcast a lot, and I hear a lot about luck. How much of it is luck?
I think there's a lot of luck in a major league season. I don't think it's frequent for luck to turn an 85-win team into a 100-win team, but I would say luck influences more wins and losses than a manager. I would certainly say that.
Well, we know how many wins and losses the manager influences, and that's 4.
As Taylor taught us. So here's another example. There's this idea of cluster luck, and cluster luck can refer to two things. The first is it can refer to the order in which things happen in a game. So you can imagine a game in which a team has 8 singles, 8 walks, and 4 home runs. It's not very likely that all 4 of those home runs would be solo home runs, but it's possible.
Right.
For example, if you hit every home run before the walks and singles, like you have a bunch of innings that go home run, walk, double play, single, fly out,
right,
then you end the game with 4 runs, even though it's extremely unlikely.
Right.
So that would be like if stuff just happens in a different order.
Right, but you're acting like it happens to the team, not the team makes it happen. Like, I'll give you an example. You said home run, walk, double play.
Yeah.
Okay, don't hit into a double play.
Okay.
Okay, hit the ball in. That's not my water, is it? Because that would be gross.
Yours is over there.
Okay, hit the ball in the air. Don't hit into a double play. It's like double. That was bad luck.
So why does someone hit into a double play? Like this is. If guys could just decide not to hit into double plays, I'm sure they would.
I think if you're a better hitter, you probably won't hit into a double play.
No, Aaron Judge hits into a lot of double plays, and he's the best hitter in the world.
I don't like it.
So,
how much
cluster luck can also manifest itself at a season level, and a great example of that is the 2021 Giants. So you have an idea going into a year of what the median outcome for that season is. And you assume that like about half the players are going to do better than you expect, and about half the players are going to do worse than you expect. So that's just how things happen. So let's run down some things that happened to the 2021 San Francisco Giants. Brandon Crawford, who's 34 years old, has the best season of his career by 2 entire WAR. He is now out of baseball. Buster Posey, who is 34 years old, in his last season has his best season in half a decade. Career 125 WRC plus hitter Brandon Belt has a 159 WRC plus and 3.6 WAR in just 97 games. Career 110 WRC plus hitter Darren Ruff has a 144 WRC plus. Evan Longoria ties his best offensive season in 8 years at age 35 and plays at a 4 WAR pace. Kevin Gossman has the best season of his career to date to that point. Anthony DeSclafani has the best season of his career. And career 3.94 ERA pitcher Dominic Mama Leone has a 1.51 ERA. So my question is, what did the Giants do to make everyone have a career year at once? And by the way, only one guy that I mentioned, which is Kevin Gossman, has more WAR since 2021 than he did in 2021 on that list. Well, so what did the Giants do to make that all happen at once instead of those guys having career years at 6 different times? The Giants won 107 games that year. Yep. They've maxed out at 81 wins in a season since then. So clearly, the front office didn't have some secret sauce. The manager, who's been fired since then, didn't have some secret sauce. Guys in their 30s sometimes randomly have great seasons, like Derek Jeter did in 2009. But it's not reasonable not to acknowledge the influence of luck over everything going so well at once.
So two things. One, I've asked a question that you haven't answered, which is how much is luck a factor?
Okay.
Second thing, and I said this at the beginning of the season on the preseason Yankees Files podcast when we talked about the players the Yankees had.
Mm-hmm.
The Giants bet on established players. The people whose names you just gave me are people even the casual baseball fan might have heard of.
The casual baseball fan's talking a lot about Darren Ruff.
No, but they're talking about Evan Longoria. They're talking about Buster Posey. They're talking about the Kung Fu Panda.
But I mean, this is like that.
Was he on that team? KFP?
So he did come back to the Giants at one point, but I don't remember exactly when it was. He may have been gone by then. Okay. But honestly, the closest thing that we've seen the Yankees do to what the Giants did with that team is when they got like Kenny Lofton and Tony Womack.
I thought you were going to say now.
No.
They got Paul Goldschmidt. They got
Cody Bellinger isn't even 30 yet.
Right, but he was an established player who had done well and then didn't do well, and they made a bet on him.
First of all, he did well both of the 2 seasons before becoming a Yankee. Second of all, he's not in his mid-30s, which is a big part of what was weird about the Giants team.
What I'm saying is I would bet on people who have some kind of track record that's positive. And I feel like the Yankees have done that with some of the players that they got now. They got people who had won MVPs. I think that's smart. Even an aging Mike Stanton is still a contributor to this team. Betting on Mike Stanton makes sense to me.
Of course, they got him like Cody Bellinger when he was in his 20s.
Right, but my point is, well, they're still playing him. They haven't gotten rid of him. But what I'm trying to figure out, because I am an avid listener of the Yankees Files podcast. Not a watcher though, which is interesting. It's just my style of consuming this product.
That's okay.
And I know what Will looks like.
I think you're in the majority.
Yeah. When you were born, your mom said he has a face for radio.
Yep.
That kid.
And she's said that many a time since then.
But I'm still trying to understand because I hear so much about luck.
Sure.
That it's almost, and what it feels like, and I'm just going to be honest here, what it feels like is letting the team off the hook.
So here's what you might be missing. The way I think about a baseball player is on a bell curve. Yeah, you can also use these with mini USB, but they sound way worse. That's why there's the other port.
Interesting. Okay.
I think about a baseball player on a bell curve. His season is most likely to fall in the middle of the bell curve. And the middle of the bell curve is my median expectation for him. There's a chance that he has a year like Trent Grisham is having offensively. And it's the best thing I could have possibly imagined for that player. In fact, if you look at Picoda, his hitting stats are at like the 99th percentile for what they projected in their model. There's a chance that he has a year like 2024 regular season Gleyber Torres, which I think was probably like 20th or 30th percentile. And every player is capable of that type of thing. Some players have wider distributions from having higher variance profiles. Giancarlo Stanton, I think, would be one of those because you have to build injury into it and all of that. I think some players have lower variance profiles, but also likely with lower ceilings. Like, for example, I mean, I would have said Trent Grisham is in that group prior to this year, but I think like current day Paul Goldschmidt, you know, generally what you're going to get if he showed up and had a 950 OPS, that would be really surprising to everyone, but he also probably wasn't going to have a 500 OPS. So if you look at things through that lens, it's not, most things are not a reflection that you were right or wrong about a player's true talent level. It's just the yearly fluctuations in where the player is on his bell curve. And I think it's important to be right about the player's true talent level because all you can plan for is the median outcome. But any deviation from that, I think, is hard to explain as skill rather than luck.
So you get what you get. So for example,
yes,
the amount somebody takes BP, the amount somebody is prepared, the amount of time somebody devotes to his craft, the amount of attention somebody pays to fitness and trying to avoid injuries, the amount of fielding practice somebody does, the amount of throwing practice somebody does. Like none of that, you just get what you get.
No, of course that stuff matters.
Okay.
But all of that stuff would be something that a team knows and therefore builds into its estimation of a player's talent level.
Right. And I have to be honest with you. I don't know exactly how much practice people do.
What are we talking about?
We're talking about practice, not a game, not a game. No, how much practice you do in a sport where you're playing essentially every day. You're traveling a lot. You can't have guys, you know, chained to the clubhouse. But work ethic and practice and attention to your craft and a focus on excellence, all of those things have to matter, in my opinion.
Of course.
And, you know, there are players who I don't know whether those players are applying that or not, but I can tell you that there are players who definitely need help, and whether they're doing it or not, I don't know. But this is a good segue because what I hear from Boone,
here we go,
is, and again, this is what I hear from Boone, and I'm not one of those people who says Boone should be calling out his players, but I am one of those people who says you can take Boone at his word. And what I hear from Boone a lot is, yeah, you know, that was tough. You got to get better. You know, it's on us to get better. Got to get better. I don't know what Boone is doing to try to get better.
Okay.
Or to try to get his players to get better. But it's all like real tough. You know, this is tough. It's just really tough. And it's like, I don't think in some ways it is tough. I think in some ways there probably are people who aren't doing everything they should be doing. I think in some ways there are probably people they bet on that they shouldn't have bet on. But just this like, it's tough is frustrating, because if that's the message, I don't think that's the right message.
Well, it's the message to the media.
Okay. Well, I mean, I take him at his word. I do, like, you know, and by the way, I think his players also listen to the media, unless he tells his players, hey guys, listen, everything I say out there is bullshit.
I mean, I think it's from what players like Lance Lynn, who have been in Aaron Boone-led clubhouses, have said. I think that's basically the message, is I'm going to say something in here and I'm going to say something else to the media, because my job, part of my job, is to deal with the New York media, and they're rabid, and I'm supposed to go out there and be the human shield, and I'm going to do that.
And I kind of get that. But I want to see a team perform well. I want to see a team have a commitment to excellence. And here's an example that we've talked about: errors. The Yankees are in the bottom, I don't know, 5 or so.
No, they're not. They're not even in the bottom 10.
Yes, they are. They were like 25th in errors. Look it up.
You are wrong about this. They have fewer errors than both the Blue Jays and Red Sox. They're like 11th.
Okay, but they're not close to 11th.
Are you sure about that?
I'm sure about it, because I looked it up like the other day.
Sure, I bet you did.
I did.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking it up. Don't worry.
Well, you're probably looking it up on something like Pacoda, which is a 7th grader.
The Yankees are 8th in errors, so they are just as close to 11th as 5th.
Wait a minute. They're 8th. They've committed
the 8th most
errors. Okay, so they're 22nd instead of 25th.
Yeah, so they're better than what you said they were. You said they were in the top 5. They're not.
Okay, I was off by 3. Sorry.
So was I.
Sue me. But my point is just, they are in the basement of the major leagues when it comes to committing errors.
Who's made the fewest errors? And
the Rangers, I think.
The Rangers. And what playoff spot are they in?
No. Again.
What about the Braves? They're having a great year, right? So like the Rangers are actually a great example. The Rangers have Bruce Bochy as their manager, and
World Series winner.
They make almost no errors.
World Series
and look how great. Oh,
well, I'm not saying they're great, but I'm saying they're doing what they can do. I don't know who the George W. Bush got Bruce Bochy as far as material to work with. I don't know if they have Juan Gonzalez.
Well, they won the World Series 2 years ago, and they have almost all of those players.
Okay. Well, all I'm saying is, especially in a game that's so dominated by luck, you do what you can do. And one of the things you can do is not commit errors. That suggests to me a lack of attention to detail. It suggests to me a lack of professionalism. It suggests to me a lack of a commitment to excellence. And, I don't know how you could ever argue errors are good.
Who's arguing that errors are good?
Well, my point is, you're sort of like, and how many games have the Rangers won? They would have lost more probably if they committed more errors.
Well, that's not necessarily true. And this is a problem with errors as a statistic. You can only commit an error on a ball that you get to. The worst defender in Major League Baseball by far is Nicholas Castellanos, who plays right field for the Philadelphia Phillies. In the last 3 seasons, he has like 2 errors because he only fields a ball that is hit at him.
I understand.
So, and this is a great segue into Anthony Volpe. Anthony Volpe's best defensive asset is his range. If Anthony Volpe just stopped getting to balls, he would never commit errors. So I don't know what you like. Should he just let everything go? I don't think he should.
Volpe has the most errors in the American League.
I'll check that, because we know you're not exactly the most reliable source when it comes to this stuff.
I'll wait, and the listeners and watchers of the Yankees Files podcast will wait. I would think you'd have these stats at your fingertips. For
Anthony Volpe does have the most errors in the American League.
Yes, he does. Thank you.
No problem. Continue.
Yeah. It's not acceptable.
Why?
Well, for 2 reasons. One, he's supposed to be there for his defense, because he sure as hell isn't there for his offense. And if he's not going to be a solid defender, he shouldn't be on the field.
So that's the metric you'd use to decide who's a solid defender and who's not?
Errors, that's one of the metrics I would use.
Okay, so like Jose Ramirez, who is second among third basemen in errors, should he Should he be on the field?
What's his WRC plus?
Probably pretty high.
Yeah.
Then what?
And you know what? If Anthony Volpe had the most errors in the major leagues, but his WRC plus was 130, I wouldn't be complaining. But for a guy whose lifetime WRC plus, to the extent it hasn't been further eroded by his crap play this season, is 85, you better make every out.
So
he's a below average offensive player.
He's deserved
damn well better be
to above average offense this year.
Excuse me?
He has deserved average to above average offense this year.
So this is a great example of the luck thing. He's deserved average to above average. His career WRC plus is like 85 or 83.
His career ex-WOBA coming into this year was like 285, and it's 320 now.
And look, Will.
And if you want to talk about his,
I wouldn't bet on.
If you want to talk about his career, you should be talking about the defense, the Gold Glove level defense that he played for the first 2 years of his career.
And that's why he is the Yankees shortstop. But he's not delivering that Gold Glove level defense, and he's not delivering on offense, which nobody expected he would. And so if you're not going to do the thing we brought you here to do, they ought to send him somewhere else.
Yeah, your shortstop who's coming off a 3.5 win season and makes league minimum ought to be somewhere else.
I can't stand the guy. Cannot stand him.
Do you want to answer some listener and follower questions that were sent in just for you?
Just for me?
Just for you.
How many were sent in by a guy not named Rob?
1, 2.
I think it's amazing that you're counting.
4.
Wow.
Yeah, a number of them.
Wow.
But first, we'll do questions sent in by Rob. So the first is from Rob.csv, who is at Good for Rob with 2 B's.
Yeah, shout out to Good for Rob. Thank you for being a fan of Dad Take or Bad Take.
So you might not be able to answer this question, given what we uncovered about you this weekend.
But it's for me.
But it is for you. Rob asks, what is his opinion on the Name That Yankee segment during broadcasts?
Here, wait, tell me about it and I'll give you an opinion.
Okay, so during the broadcast, they show like an anonymous biography of a player, and they tell you, normally it's a player that played on the Yankees and the team that they're playing.
I've seen this, yes.
And it'll say like, he had 1,000 career hits and 150 home runs, and he played from this year to that year.
Yeah.
What do you think of that segment?
Actually, I kind of like that. It kind of pulls together both the teams and everything.
Yeah.
And sometimes it harkens back to people who I am familiar with.
Who would you most like to see featured on Name That Yankee? Hector Lopez?
No, I'll tell you. Well, who I'd really like to see featured on Name That Yankee, if they use the nickname, is Jiminy Cricket.
That's
because
awesome.
I love that. I also would like UL Washington.
Okay.
That's deep. And for the listeners and watchers of the Yankees File podcast, UL Washington was, I believe, a second baseman, but he could have been a shortstop. He was a middle infielder, and he always had a toothpick coming out of the side of his mouth. And it's like, and he's playing with the toothpick in the side of his mouth. And it's like, he could have gotten hit by a ball. Anything could have happened. Like, I don't even know if they'd let you in today's major leagues play with a toothpick
I'm not
in
sure
the side of your mouth. But
it doesn't seem like a good idea.
Oh my goodness. And of course, I love Bucky Dent.
Okay. Yeah.
Which is funny because I'm not known for loving the light hitting
infielder,
people, but we could have a whole Yankees Files podcast about what amounted to a 1-game playoff between the Red Sox and the Yankees in 1978.
We probably should sometime. That'd be a fun.
Being in 1978, I was telling Mom today that I played the grooves out of Cheap Trick live at Budokan.
Oh, what an album!
1978. Pick it up if you guys haven't heard it. But anyway, go ahead.
This is the first song on our new album. Nobody gets that. Not a single person listening to this podcast has any idea what that is.
If they pick up live at Budokan, they'll know.
free advertising from Kin Knows Ball at _24Kin. What are his thoughts on bunting? And then he adds this: I believe bunting is a disgrace to baseball, and you should be ashamed of your hitting ability if your manager says, hey man, don't swing the bat, just bunt.
Okay. Well, so Kin does know ball. I know that. But here's what I'm going to say. I think there is a place for bunting. And when we had the shift, I thought there was even more of a place for bunting. And it drove me crazy, and it will drive me crazy till the day I die, that they're like, no, you got to let the guy swing away because he might hit a home run. Well, he might hit like 25 home runs in the entire season, and he could automatically advance the runner, and he wasn't doing it. So, look, I think there's a place for advancing runners. And I got to be honest with you. I do agree. I know you were talking with Taylor from Nashville about home runs, and Taylor from Nashville said he heard somebody say the Yankees hit too many home runs, which obviously is ridiculous. I think there is something to be said about a team that is built to stand or fall on hitting home runs. If this team doesn't hit home runs, it doesn't win games. And I've said this before, and people can disagree with me, or I can be proven wrong. But when you're playing a tight game, you've got to be able to do things like advance a runner by hitting a sac fly. Like, there are so many times I've watched this Yankees team when all they needed was a sac fly, and Jazz Chisholm comes up and strikes out. And by the way, speaking of putting balls in play, like, what the Yankees have proven is putting balls in play is a good thing, because they might miss them. So I think there is a place for the bunt. Apologies. I know people are going to say I don't know ball, that I'm not based, and I'm sorry.
I didn't realize that was where that was going to go, but okay. We have some more questions for you.
Okay.
Now you're going to be put off by this person's name, but I assure you this person knows ball, is very civil.
Okay.
From Red Sox West Coast, who is at Will CLQ 37. I think it's actually a good question. What two non-US cities deserve an MLB expansion team? In this scenario, each team is given a hypersonic jet, so travel times don't matter.
Okay. So I'm going to answer the question because I feel like if somebody is going to send in a question for somebody like me, I should try to answer it. But I also want to say, after I answer the question, that we need contraction, not expansion.
Yes, people know that that's how you feel.
Okay. So hypersonic. So here's what I'm thinking. This is actually not a joke.
Okay.
The Caribbean is baseball crazy. You wouldn't even need a hypersonic jet.
Yeah.
And I think it would be actually fun to play baseball in a place that is baseball crazy, in a place where they know ball. Now, are these any places that I would actually go? No, they're not. And I think the best evidence is, like, Big Papi gets shot up in the Dominican Republic.
Don't do this.
They bring him to the hospital, sew him up, and the first thing they do is put him on a plane, bring him to Boston, and open him up again, which is just like, what an indictment. They probably got the best doctors in the DR. They're not going to have some like drunk operating on Big Papi. He's a national treasure.
So what's the other? So you have one in the Caribbean.
That's one. And the other one is I would play ball in Tokyo.
Yeah, I think those are the two best answers, is you just expand to places that are crazy for baseball. From Waleed Harani at Waleed_Harani, please ask him about Volpe and Boone's media responses regarding him. I know it'll be hilarious. Kind of already covered that.
We've kind of covered it.
Also, remind him he's based.
Thank you, Waleed. The one thing I will say is, expanding on what we just talked about, is leadership is an interesting thing, because if you're the leader of the New York Yankees baseball club and they give you a certain roster of players, you've got to go out and sell that roster of players, whether you believe in them or not.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard. It's actually hard to be a leader, because sometimes you have to lead with resources that you wouldn't have picked.
And I think we've seen him in that position. Remember in 2023 when he was selling everyone on Willie Calhoun because Willie Calhoun is who he had?
I don't remember that, but that's the point. And
Yeah.
so I do give Boone a little bit of grace on that. The person who I don't give grace is B-Cash, because
whose roster leads baseball in WAR, at least from hitters.
I just got to tell you, cannot stand Volpe. I don't like, and I've said it before, putting on the field worse than average offensive players. I think you should at least have average offensive players.
Well, they have the best offense in the sport.
I'm not saying, and they would have an even better one.
Just under the wire, we got a question from Rob Sasso.
How is that possible? Is that really true?
I'm dead serious.
That's very, does he know what, is Rob Sasso looking in the window? What's going on?
He might be outside. From Rob Sasso at Sasso CT.
Yeah.
This is a really good question, actually. It's really good. Rob asks, is your dad more willing to compliment Volpe or disclose material non-public information about his employer?
That's very funny, because I think I may have even spoken to a group that Rob is in, certainly about like the company and the company's litigation profile and stuff like that. So I would not
you'd prefer to compliment Volpe,
the company's litigation profile, by disclosing material non-public information. So I guess I would compliment Volpe. And what I would say about Volpe is he has a nice uniform. Yeah, I like the uniform.
Yeah, you do.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Particularly on him?
No.
Okay.
But yeah. So
all right.
That's a funny question. So
it is. That was good.
There was something I was. Can we talk? Well, I don't want to end this without talking about Taylor from Nashville, but go ahead. What else we got?
I think those may have been all the questions. We got a couple about bunting that were kind of duplicative. Shout out to Bad Yankees Takes, who also added a question about bunting, but it was basically the same one.
Can I just thank the listeners and watchers of the Yankees Files podcast for sending in questions for little old me? I think that's so cool.
Yeah. People really like when you appear on the podcast.
That's so nice. Thank you. So can we talk about Taylor from Nashville?
Of course.
So first of all, loved Taylor from Nashville's appearance. Second of all, I do not care who my players are dating.
Okay.
So like, and obviously the Taylor from Nashville is a Taylor Swift joke, and you know it's all over the media that Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift are now engaged. As a matter of fact, I don't care.
I hope there's someone out there who is learning from
this
episode of this podcast that yeah.
I don't care if Aaron Judge is dating Yoko Ono. Okay.
Wow.
I
feel
don't
like you'd kind of care if it were that pairing. That would be kind of interesting.
Honestly, as long as he hits, I really don't care. But to me, the Travis Kelce thing is one of the more ridiculous things I've ever seen. And I hope that we don't have an audience full of Swifties, or this might be my last episode of the Yankees Files podcast.
There are definitely some Swifties in this audience.
I got to be honest with you. It's so profoundly irrelevant. Number one.
You know what this is kind of like? I don't know if this ever happened to you, but sometimes in like elementary school or middle school, a kid would get to be on like the morning announcements or speak over the PA for some reason. And they would always interject some like ridiculous, unrelated thing or like say something that they thought was funny, and or like, you know, yell something into the phone or whatever. And they did that because they had something that they felt like they ought to say and they had a platform. And those things were not connected. Like you don't, if you're telling me what's on the menu for lunch today, you don't also need to like do whatever joke you're going to do. And do you think this is a little bit like that? Like this is not the Travis Kelce Files podcast.
You have an episode with Taylor from Nashville.
Yeah. And we talked about Rick Barnes and he sounded like Nate Bargatze.
Nate Bargatze, he really did.
Yeah.
Which was, I immediately texted you and said that.
Yeah.
I don't know if Taylor from Nashville thinks he sounds like Nate Bargatze, but he does.
It didn't click for me until you said it. And then I was like, yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
But like, it would make more sense if you came on here and you were like, I don't care about the Tennessee Volunteers. Because we talked more about that. Like, yes, the title is a joke about Taylor Swift. But we talked more about like Joey Aguilar than we did about Taylor Swift.
I think Tortured Poets Society is a joke about Taylor Swift.
Almost.
Is that what it's that Tortured Poets Department? What's it called? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, that's like saying I'm a poet. In case anyone was wondering, I happen to be a poet. And what I say is get over yourself, stop ruining football.
Oh my gosh. CBS can do whatever they want. They don't have to point the camera at her.
And don't even get me started with Mama Kelce. No,
nobody loves being famous more than
Mama Kelce.
The Kelce parents.
The Kelce, actually, all the Kelces love being parents, famous except for the father. I just found out there was a father.
No,
I didn't even know there was a father.
He was on the radio in Australia last week talking about the engagement. He loves it too.
I mean, I am just so sick of the Kelces. The funniest thing is Jason Kelce, who is a Super Bowl champion. You got to give that to him.
Multiple time, I believe.
But like no one ever cared about Jason Kelce. Now he's on everything. It's a total coattails thing. Nobody would care.
It's like how a minute Cooper Manning is on Fox Sports now.
Well, I think Cooper Manning is on Fox Sports.
So they can pay
to pay Arch Manning. But anyway, I just got to be honest. Like, just play your sport. Just play your sport. So if I find out that Aaron Judge is going out with Yoko Ono, which
that
is
would
the closest
change the
analogy,
world.
Which is the closest analogy I could think of from a musicianship perspective, at least, that would be really funny.
That would be incredible. It would be kind of sad because Aaron Judge is married.
Okay.
But remember when Matt Kemp was dating Rihanna?
I actually don't remember that.
Oh,
but
happened. All right, so we understand your thoughts on Taylor Swift and the Kelce family.
God.
Do you have any parting shots?
Overexposed.
First, what's your confidence in the New York Yankees?
So,
and you can do Steve confidence or you can do normal confidence.
Yeah, and look, Steve is the co-host of this podcast.
Yes.
So I'm not here to criticize the bastardization of the ranking confidence system.
You're just here to call it a bastardization.
No, that's not. There's no negative connotation in that.
No, of course not.
Actually, I have a great story for the listeners and watchers of the Yankees Files podcast. When I was in probably 6th or 7th grade, I went to Catholic school. And the priest, who was the priest that he wasn't the principal, but he was kind of the guy who ran the place more or less, hated me. Probably
through no fault of your own.
Probably for good and sufficient reason, I'm thinking. And he decided one religion class that instead of teaching us religion, he would tell us the saints that we were named after.
Okay.
Which was fine. Because I didn't have to sit through religion class.
Mm-hmm.
And we had like Anne and Mary and Joseph and Peter. And then they get to Mitchell, where there is no Saint Mitchell, and I will not be the first one. And the guy says, well, Mitchell, there is no St. Mitchell. Mitchell is a bastardization of the name Michael. That's exactly the way he said it.
That's
and
awesome.
it was hysterical. So, and I'm sure he didn't mean anything by it. So in the same way that I use bastardization.
Yeah, exactly.
But I love that. That was so great.
That's really good.
So kind of to bring this full circle, this team plays well against bad teams, and they're on a 7-game win streak after losing 3 to the Red Sox. I don't have a ton of confidence in this team. I don't have a ton of confidence in, for example, Devin Williams, who came in and last night promptly tied a game that the Yankees were leading. I don't have a ton of confidence in this team as a wild card team. I think they are easily beaten in a short series. And I do not think this is a World Series contender. What number does that add up to? I don't know, 6. It's like a 6 team, or you know what? 5.38, because I think that's their record right now. 0.538. I think that's their record right now.
If that is their winning percentage, that would be kind of impressive.
It's going to be close.
That would have been 5.59.
Okay, that was pretty close.
Yeah.
So that's where I am. I'm disappointed in the relief pitching and how really inept it's been. I do think that there is a lack of, as I mentioned with the errors, there's a lack of real attention to detail and commitment to excellence. And I'm troubled by it. And this is going to sound silly, but the Yankees had the no facial hair policy.
Oh gosh, you're really doing this?
No, hang on a second.
Okay.
Just hear me out.
Yep.
And I don't know how they had the no facial hair policy when they had like Sparky Lyle, who had facial hair, and Jim Catfish Hunter, who I'm pretty sure had facial hair too.
Yeah.
Tragically,
oh God,
struck down by a disease bearing the name of one of his forebearer teammates. So how did those guys get away with it?
So I think, I don't
Ryan
know.
Kidry had a mustache.
So mustaches were allowed as long as they didn't go below where your lips meet.
Okay.
But I still think some of the mustaches,
yes,
including onto like Goose Gossage
yes,
and stuff, would have
Richard
violated that. Yeah.
Maybe I was thinking of Goose Gossage when I said Sparky Lyle. Maybe
no, I think Sparky Lyle had some too.
Okay.
But also, yeah, it doesn't make sense. And then Don Mattingly had like pretty long hair.
Yes.
Even though your hair wasn't supposed to like touch the jersey. So it was, I don't know how well enforced it was.
Honored in the breach, as they
in
say.
the 70s. But you heard the episode of the podcast where we figured out where George Steinbrenner got that idea from, right?
I don't remember.
He got it from Marge Schott.
Oh,
so it was like, oh,
who has been somewhat discredited.
Possibly didn't mind Hitler per her own admission. But anyway.
Well, say whatever you want about Hitler. He did kill Hitler.
That's true. Which shows that nothing is all bad. Actually,
that is one of my fundamental beliefs.
Yeah.
That nothing is all bad for everyone.
Okay.
But anyway, I do think that, and it's not the facial hair, obviously, but I do think the Yankees always were and positioned themselves as a more business-like, professional organization. Like back when the Red Sox were kind of getting their stuff together, they were just like a bunch of wackadoos.
Yeah.
And that was their brand. It was, hey, we're fun. We have long hair, and we're all just a fun bunch of guys. That was their thing. The Yankees thing always was professional, business-like, take care of business on the field. This isn't a kids game. This is serious. And maybe they've lost some of that. I don't know.
Is that your parting shot?
Let's see if I have a parting shot.
Parting Marge shot.
Who I'm sure must be dead by now.
I would imagine Marge shot is dead.
No, I will say this. I focus more on ball because of this podcast. I think the podcast is great.
Marge shot has been dead for 21 years.
There you go. I focus more on ball because of it. I'm kind of developing or refining a view of ball that I think is more informed.
Okay.
But if I had two major pet peeves or three, they would be one, fielding below average offensive players. I know you will say, who cares? They still have the best offense. Two, the errors, which I don't like. I think it just bespeaks of sloppiness, and I don't like that. And I wouldn't accept it in people that worked for me. And I don't think the Yankees should accept it in people that work for them. And guys who don't throw strikes.
You really don't like guys who don't throw strikes. You're gonna hate this. We can talk about it when we get off the podcast. But Aroldis Chapman has been like a monster this year, and people are starting to suggest that the reason he's been so good is because one of the Red Sox catchers told him, and I'm not joking, this is really something that's going around, is because one of the Red Sox catchers told him that you can aim where you're going to throw the ball. And I'm imagining Aroldis Chapman pitching for 15 years. Just
look, he doesn't seem like the brightest guy, I got to be honest. But the other thing is, he's proven, if he's okay now, he's proven that he didn't need 3 minutes between every pitch.
He has. That's true.
Yeah, and I give him credit for that.
Yeah.
Oh, the one thing we didn't talk about, maybe we should just tease it, as they say in the media, the media is well important is why the Yankees don't just cheat.
Oh, yeah. No, so this is actually good. This should be your parting shot. So please go ahead, because I'm going to agree with it.
Yeah. So two things. First of all, cheating is embedded in baseball. Stealing somebody else's signs. I don't know if you call that cheating or not cheating.
I suppose it depends on how you do it.
Well, right. People who try to hit with corked bats, like Sammy Sosa, spitballs, stuff on the brim of your hat, which was some cheating that was allowed.
Yep.
At times.
Steroids,
great. Like there has been cheating in baseball for a long time. And baseball is telling us that you should try to cheat. And if you win, including the World Series, having cheated, you get to keep the World Series trophy and nobody gets to say anything about it.
Yep.
And so is that the sport that I would want? No. Is that the message that I would send to the people in my sport? No. But that is the message that baseball and its ownership and management are sending to teams.
And it is a shame because, first of all, you're right. Baseball has said to teams, the incentives are for you to cheat. Second, college football has done the same thing.
Well, wait a minute. Michigan cheated, and what they do, there was some sanction of some sort.
Yeah, they just have to pay money.
Yeah. I think they probably made plenty of money winning the national championship.
Yeah. USC, like Reggie Bush has his Heisman back now.
Well, that's another thing, and we certainly don't have time for this.
Yeah.
But when you decide that standards have changed and the person who did the thing that breached the standard at the time now is absolved because 20 years later the standards changed, it's just preposterous.
Or Pete Rose is no longer permanently banned because he's dead.
Nice work, by the way, with Pete Rose. You permanently ban the guy. You try to make his life as miserable as possible, and then he dies, and they're like, "What? Oh, we weren't mad at Pete Rose."
And the only reason that the whole premise of Pete Rose now being unbanned is, well, it was a lifetime ban and his life is over. But it wasn't. It was never a lifetime ban. It was a permanent ban. Yeah,
that's very funny.
That's ridiculous. Anyway, we'll wrap up on that note. Dad, it was a pleasure, as always, to have you on the Yankees Files podcast. As you know, the listeners and watchers love Dad Take or Bad Take. They think you know ball and are based. We'll see if any of those opinions change now that they know that you don't believe in luck. But yeah, it was a pleasure, and we'll be sure to do this again soon.
By the way, I just want to thank you for not saying it was a dubious pleasure, which you have said before. But go ahead.
Did I say that before?
Oh, yeah.
That's funny.
Oh, yeah. You've said that. Do you want to tell people where they can find the Yankees Files podcast?
Yeah, you know what? I actually should do that. They can keep up with everything we do at yankeesfiles.com. They can follow us on Twitter, where we are at Yankees Files. The podcast is available wherever we get your podcasts. And as a special favor to my father, we hope you'll rate, thumbs up, review, subscribe, give it 5 stars, interact with it in whatever positive way. If they like it,
yes.
If they don't like it, we hope they'll just watch it, download it a bunch of times, juice the numbers.
Yes.
Podcast comes with the added bonus of video for our Spotify listeners. And the whole video podcast also goes up on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@crosstownsports. Steve and I will be back at a somewhat normal time in the coming days, or after you've heard this, or before you hear this, depending on when stuff gets published. You and I will be back sometime in the future. You're on the podcast a few times a year. And until then, let's go Yankees. Nice.
And I say, hey, yeah, 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 hey, yeah, yeah. I say, hey, hit ball.